The story begins with 14-year-old Will Stanton, who lives in a simple but very large family. Today, Christmas holidays have officially started at his school, but while the other kids are excited and celebrating, Will isn't really thrilled about spending Christmas surrounded by his loud and chaotic family. As he walks out of school, his eyes suddenly lock onto a beautiful girl wearing a bright red scarf. In that single moment, Will's heart begins to race for her. He quickly boards the bus, and just moments later, the same girl steps onto it too. Inside the bus, his older brothers start teasing him for being shy because Will doesn't mix much with others and doesn't really have any close friends. Just then, his little sister Gwen encourages him to talk to the girl, but fate doesn't support him. At the very next stop, the girl gets off the bus, leaving her red scarf behind. Will picks up the scarf, but the bus moves forward before he can return it to her. On their way home, something strange happens. A mysterious man named Leon suddenly stops their car in the middle of the road. He introduces himself as someone who works for the wealthy and mysterious Miss Graythorne. Leon invites the entire family to a grand Christmas party at her royal mansion. When Will finally reaches home, he discovers that his eldest brother Max has also returned for the holidays and has taken over Will's room. Now, poor Will has to sleep in the storeroom. Will has 5 older brothers and 1 younger sister. His father, John, recently got a job as a lecturer in this town, which is why the entire family shifted here. His mother is a loving housewife who deeply cares for her big family. That night, everyone sits together for dinner. The atmosphere feels normal, until John suddenly asks Max where he plans to go for graduation. Max replies that he is still thinking about it. After dinner, the atmosphere turns a little playful. Will's older brothers start teasing him again about how he couldn't even talk to the girl from the bus. Poor Will quietly listens to everything without saying a word. The next morning, 2 farmers named Dawson and George arrive at their house carrying a Christmas tree. The moment they see Will, a strange kind of joy appears on their faces. They wish him a happy birthday, and then say something mysterious. A storm is coming tonight, even though the sky outside is completely clear and calm. In the evening, Will's birthday is celebrated at home. His family gives him lots of presents. Most of the gifts are normal, but Will is most excited about the one from his little sister Gwen because she always chooses something from the heart. When Will opens the box, he finds a beautiful watch inside. Gwen gently ties the watch around his wrist and smiles, telling him to make a wish. In his heart, Will wishes that it would start snowing here too. That night, he suddenly wakes up and sees that it is actually snowing outside. He feels overwhelmed with happiness, but as he moves to close the window, he notices something strange, an unusual strength flowing through his hands. He barely touches the glass, yet it feels as if it could shatter. Even he doesn't understand what is happening to him. The next day, while standing at the bus stop, he notices something unsettling. A nearby tree suddenly fills with dozens of crows, all staring at him in a strange and eerie way. The atmosphere becomes tense and frightening. The bus arrives, and Will reaches the mall. He has actually come to buy a Christmas gift for Gwen. After searching for a long time, he finally finds a beautiful pendant. He feels this is the perfect gift for her, and decides to buy it. As soon as Will steps out of the mall, his problems suddenly explode. 2 police officers grab him and accuse him of stealing the pendant. Will is shocked because he clearly paid for the gift. They take him into a room for questioning. The moment he enters, he feels that something is terribly wrong. The lights begin flickering again and again, and the faces of the officers seem to shift and change every second. The atmosphere turns dark and terrifying. Then they start asking him about the signs, but Will himself has no idea what these signs even are. Suddenly, their true horrifying forms are revealed. It becomes clear that they are not real humans. They try to attack him, but this time, Will doesn't panic. He pushes them hard, and shockingly, they are thrown far across the room. In that instant, he realizes that there is something extraordinary inside him. Taking the chance, he runs away from there. Now the 2 creatures chase after him, but somehow Will manages to escape. Only one question keeps spinning in his mind. What is really happening? And why are these beings after him? He goes home and tries to tell his father that strange things are happening to him, but his family doesn't take him very seriously. They think he might be exaggerating. In the evening, the entire family arrives at the royal mansion for the grand Christmas party, hosted by the mysterious Miss Graythorne. There, the same 2 farmers once again appear in front of Will, and with strange smiles ask him if he is enjoying the party. At that very moment, Will sees the girl from the bus again. His heart starts racing once more. But before he can do anything, his brother James steps in and begins talking to her. Seeing this fills Will with anger. Upset, he grabs his coat and starts walking out of the mansion, completely unaware that the real mystery is about to reveal itself to him. On the other side, inside the mansion, Leon and the mysterious Miss Graythorne are talking to each other. They are wondering if the time has finally come to tell Will about his true destiny. Meanwhile, furious and upset, Will storms out of the mansion and walks alone toward the forest. Suddenly, a terrifying man riding a horse, accompanied by his hunting dogs, begins chasing him. Will panics and runs, but the horse is far faster than he is. Within moments, the rider blocks his path. He too asks Will about the signs, but Will still has no idea what these signs are. Just then, Leon and Miss Graythorn arrive and command the horseman to leave Will alone. The man, known as the rider, gives a chilling warning before departing. In just a few days, all my powers will return, and when I come back, no one will survive. After he disappears, Will stands there frozen in shock. In the next moment, Leon and his companions use their magical power to turn back time, and suddenly, Will finds himself standing in an ancient world. They tell him that he is not an ordinary boy. He is an ancient warrior of the light. Centuries ago, at a place called the Great Hall, a terrible battle was fought between light and darkness. The light had won that war, but it could never destroy the dark completely. Now, to defeat the dark forever, Will must find 6 magical signs. Only those signs will complete his true power. They explain that with his birthday, all his abilities have awakened. That is why he has been feeling strange things since then. But as his powers grow, the forces of darkness can sense them too, like the rider who tried to kill him. Will is still overwhelmed. He asks why he was chosen. Leon then tells him about an ancient prophecy. He is a seeker, the 7th son of a 7th son. They possess an ancient book called the Book of Gramarye, which contains the knowledge to recognize and use the signs, and only Will has the power to read it. Hearing all this, Will suddenly laughs. He says, "That's impossible. I only have 5 older brothers, and I'm not the 7th son of my parents, I'm the 6th. You've chosen the wrong boy." On the other side, Will tries to walk away from there, but Leon and his companions stop him, telling him that he cannot escape his destiny. Suddenly, Will sees a terrifying vision of the future. The entire world drowned in darkness, destruction everywhere, fear ruling every corner. The sight shakes him to his core. In the very next moment, he finds himself standing in the middle of a road, just seconds away from being hit by a vehicle. Somehow, he survives and rushes home in panic. The same question keeps echoing in his mind. Why is all of this happening to him? After reaching home, he does some research on his own, and then questions his father, John. Since John is a physics professor, Will wants to know if light can truly defeat darkness, but John brushes it off lightly and says, "Why are you thinking about such deep things? This is your age to have fun." Later that night, Will goes into the storeroom. He opens a drawer, but suddenly slips and falls, injuring his leg. His mother, Mary, immediately calls a doctor. As Will goes to get some water, the moment he hears the doctor's voice, he realizes something chilling. This is no ordinary doctor. It is the same Dangerous the rider who chased him in the forest. The doctor cleverly sends Mary into another room to fetch something so he can speak to Will alone. As soon as he touches Will's leg, the injury heals instantly. Then he calmly says that if Will gives him information about the signs, he can give him anything he desires. But when Will refuses, the rider reveals his true face. Using dark magic, he creates unbearable pain in Will's leg. Will screams in agony. The rider threatens him, saying that if he joins the ancient warriors, his entire family will be killed. Just then, Mary returns to the room. The rider immediately resumes his act, pretending as if nothing happened. He says the injury will take a few days to heal, and then quietly leaves. On the other side, Will once again goes into the storeroom. There, he finds an old photograph showing 2 twin babies. Shocked, he takes the picture to his mother, Mary. Her eyes fill with tears. She tells him that he had a twin brother. His name was Tom. When Will and Tom were just 2 weeks old, a terrible storm struck one night. Both babies started crying loudly. Mary picked up Will and went downstairs, asking John to bring Tom as well. But at that moment, John was busy working on his thesis. He reached Tom's room just a minute later, and Tom was gone. He had vanished without a trace. They searched everywhere, but Tom was never found again. The tragedy shattered John from the inside. He stopped writing his thesis and fell into deep shock. After learning this truth, Will understands that none of this is a coincidence. A great danger is truly hanging over the world. And now, instead of running away, he decides to stand with the ancient warriors. He reads the Book of Gramarye and realizes that extraordinary powers live inside him. He can recognize the signs of light. He can move objects with the power of his mind. He can travel back and forth through time. Incredible strength flows through his body. He can even create fire with his bare hands. Though he jokingly says he wishes he could fly like Superman, but that power is not his. After this, Leon begins teaching him how to control his abilities. Soon, Will realizes that the first sign was hidden inside the pendant he had gifted to Gwen. A little later, he discovers the second sign as as well, but to claim it, he must travel back in time with the other warriors. As they reach an ancient world, a sudden attack strikes them. An old woman unleashes poisonous snakes upon them. The snakes coil tightly around their bodies, but this time, Will does not fear. He uses his powers, frees himself from their grip, and secures the second sign. With the help of that sign, he safely returns to the church along with his team. While talking to Leon, Will learns another shocking truth. He is told that one of his ancestors was named Thomas, the one who originally created these magical signs. Thomas was a great warrior of the light. Leon also reveals that the sixth sign has never been found, because in reality, it was never hidden. And since Will belongs to that same bloodline, only he can discover it. On the other side, in the world of darkness, the rider meets a mysterious man. The man tells him that his dark powers are growing stronger with each passing day, but he also warns him that Will has already found 2 signs, which means he too is becoming powerful. Hearing this, the rider orders him to obtain the remaining signs at any cost. In return, he promises him a great reward. Meanwhile, Will is sitting at the dinner table with his family. Just then, his brother James arrives, and Maggie is with him. Maggie is the same girl Will has liked from the very beginning. When he realizes that Maggie and James are now together, his heart quietly breaks. After some time, Maggie herself comes to speak with Will. Softly, she tells him that she also possesses certain special abilities. Using grains of salt, she forms the shape of a sign, leaving Will stunned. After dinner, Will shows her a glimpse of his own powers. Then, gathering courage, he asks her why she is with James, and whether she is also part of the Ancient Warriors team. Maggie calmly tells him that he should not get distracted by such matters. He must focus on his true mission. She explains that she is not a warrior, but has only come to protect him. Unable to hold back his emotions any longer, Will confesses that from the very first moment he saw her, he has felt a strange pull toward her. He thinks about her constantly. Finally, he speaks from his heart, telling her that he loves her. But just then, James walks in and asks what the two of them are doing. Maggie smiles and casually replies that she was simply talking to Will while waiting for James. As soon as Maggie leaves, Will's anger explodes. He storms toward Leon and says, "I don't think I can save the world. I can't even talk to girls properly. How am I supposed to save the world?" Leon calms him down. He says, "You are the Seeker. You can do anything you choose to do." Then, in a lighter tone, he explains that there is an entire lifetime to think about girls. But if he doesn't focus on the mission now, there may not even be a world left to live in. Furious, Will walks out of the mansion and screams at the sky. His powers spiral out of control, and suddenly the nearby trees burst into flames. Seeing this, Miss Graythorn scolds Leon, saying he failed to understand Will's emotions. After all, he is still just a boy. After some time, Gwen follows Will all the way to the mansion. She asks if he is okay. Will forces a smile and says everything is fine, but then he notices strange clouds forming in the sky. He instantly realizes the third sign is close. He grabs Gwen's hand, and together they travel back in time to an old village. Chaos surrounds them. Soldiers are fighting each other. Hiding carefully, they move forward. Suddenly, Will spots a sign hidden inside a soldier's shield. He and Gwen secretly follow the soldier until he reaches a boat. The moment Will lifts the shield, a large, powerful man grabs him and throws him into the water. The man is about to attack, but then his eyes fall on Will's special watch. The man agrees to exchange his shield for the watch. Finally, Will secures the third sign, and then, traveling back through time with Gwen, he returns safely to his home. Will explains to Gwen that she must not tell anyone about what she has seen. Just then, Leon arrives and scolds him. He says that Will must use his powers carefully, because the real war is still ahead. But after a while, Leon realizes he was too harsh. He apologizes to Will and promises that from now on, he will not only be his guide, but also his protector. When Will reaches home, he sees his older brother Max waiting for him. Max says he will be staying at home for a few more weeks. But suddenly, his behavior turns strange. He grabs Will by the collar and begins speaking in a distorted voice. In truth, Max is under the control of the rider. At that very moment, Will senses the fourth sign. He grabs Max and travels back in time to another place. There, Max suddenly attacks him and threatens that if he does not reveal all the information about the signs, he will kill him. Will responds wisely. He tells Max that he knows he failed his college exams and left college because of it, but the family would never blame him for that. Will encourages him to overcome his fear so the rider cannot control him anymore. When this approach fails, Will is forced to punch him, knocking Max unconscious. After that, Will secures the fourth sign and returns to his his world with Max. When Max regains consciousness, Will tells him that he simply fell and fainted. The next morning, the entire town is trapped in a massive snowstorm. Roads are blocked, traffic comes to a halt, and even water and electricity supplies are affected. At that time, Miss Graythorn invites John and his entire family to stay safely at the royal mansion. On the other side, a shocking truth is revealed. It turns out that Maggie was secretly working with the Rider. She was not an ordinary girl, but a witch who was helping him in exchange for the power to remain forever young. The Rider tells her that Will has already obtained 4 signs, and if they want to stop him, they must steal those signs as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Leon tells Will that after securing the 5th sign, he must meet him at the Great Hall, but Will is still confused. He says that even if they find the 5th sign, they still do not know what the 6th sign is. Even so, Leon has complete faith that only Will can defeat the Rider and save the world from the rule of darkness. Sometime later, Maggie meets Will at the royal mansion. She asks him to give her the signs. For a brief moment, overwhelmed by emotion, Will is almost ready to hand them over, but then his eyes fall upon the 5th sign. Realizing the danger, he risks his life and manages to secure the 5th sign as well. Now, all 5 signs are in his possession, and he firmly refuses to give even one of them to Maggie. Because Maggie fails to fulfill her promise, the Rider breaks his promise too. Suddenly, Maggie's youthful face begins to change, and she transforms into an old woman. Stripped of her power, she falls into the river and drowns. On the other side, the Rider's powers had now grown many times stronger than before. The Rider began spreading destruction across the entire town. The weather turned violent. Strange events unfolded everywhere. It was clear that darkness was about to make its final move. Meanwhile, Will reaches the Great Hall with the other ancient warriors. The rule there is clear. The Rider cannot enter unless he is invited inside. Suddenly, they hear his father John's voice outside, asking them to open the door. The warriors stop Will, but then Gwen's voice cries out that one of his brothers is injured. Then Mary's desperate voice echoes, asking for help. Overcome by emotion, Will gives in and opens the door. But it was all a trap. The Rider was mimicking his family's voices to deceive him. The moment the Rider steps inside, his dark energy swallows the light of the Great Hall. The ancient warriors attack him, but he has become unbelievably powerful. One by one, he defeats them and casts them into darkness. Now he stands face to face with Will. He asks, "In your hardest moment, where are your family and friends?" Then he mocks him, saying he is still just a child and should not even dream about saving the world. Suddenly, the Rider reveals a magical sphere. Inside it, Will's twin brother Tom is trapped. The truth is exposed. 14 years ago, the Rider kidnapped Tom, believing he was the Seeker. The Rider throws the magical sphere into the waters of the Great Hall. Will desperately tries to find his brother, but thick darkness surrounds everything. In the end, the Rider pushes Will into a massive black cloud and leaves to spread darkness across the world. But inside that dark cloud, something changes. Will suddenly remembers everything. He realizes that the 6th sign was never hidden, because he himself is the final sign. The moment he understands this, all his powers awaken at once. Darkness can no longer hold him back. Will emerges from the Great Hall holding the magical sphere. With all his strength, he traps the Rider and his darkness inside that very sphere, and throws it into the river. As the sphere sinks into the water, light spreads across the entire town. The darkness vanishes, and at that very moment, Tom is freed and returns. After 14 long years, the two brothers are finally reunited. Will's mission is complete. He asks the warriors for permission to return home, and they allow him to go. When Will and Tom reach home, the entire family bursts into tears of joy. Their lost son has finally come back after so many years, and with that, the movie ends. So, how did you like this film? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories like this. See you in the next video.